What is going on, everybody? It's Dynasty Buffs. Got week 7 waiver wire, top 10 fantasy defenses. I'm your host, H, and I'm joined today with my partner, Max.
What's up, y'all?
So, today we're going to talk about our waiver ads, week 7. This fantasy season's gone by so fast.
Yeah.
Really, really exciting so far this year. Doing well so far in Scott Fishbowl. Things are going great. And let's get an injury report in here before we dive into these week 7 waiver wire.
All right, you can hit the bye week, folks, real quick.
Yeah, all right. So let's talk about the bye week, right? So we got Panthers on bye, Bengals on bye, Cowboys on bye, Texans, Jets, and Titans. So I just highlighted here some of the players that you probably have on your redraft fantasy teams that you're probably not going to be able to use. Right. So big guys like Adam Thielen, he's out. Burrow, Chase, Pollard, Lamb, Nico Collins, Stroud, Brees Hall. And I mean, not really anybody on the Titans are starting except, I guess, Derrick Henry. Forgot about him, but Derrick Henry as well. So we're going to have to get some receivers, quarterbacks, and wide receivers. And looking at waivers right now, it's pretty thin. So let's before we do that, let's go in an injury report. Make sure you guys get your handcuffs on running backs and wide receivers and quarterbacks. So right now here, I have in red, we have those guys who are currently ruled out for this week. I have in yellow here, questionable. And orange, I have 50-50 guys. So obviously we got Jefferson still out, A-Chain's out, Connor's still out. Tank Dell, he's still in concussion protocol. So he's not going to play this week, but he might. So I'll probably move into orange. Khalil Herbert's on IR. Anthony Richardson's actually probably out for the rest of the season. Ryan Tannehill's still dealing with his injuries. Obviously, he's on bye this week. Justin Fields is out with that dislocation on his thumb. Kyren Williams is out with the ankle. Hunter Henry's dealing with the injury as well. Trevor Lawrence has that knee issue going on. Daniel Jones with the neck. Burrow, he's on bye. Herbert, finger issue. Mike Evans, Deshaun Watson, Brad Farmers, Zay Jones, Travis Kelce, Roschon Johnson, all are questionable, but should probably play this week. I think Deshaun Watson actually might play this week too. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's looking to get a green light so far. Looks like Montgomery probably will be out this week. Christian McCaffrey is dealing with rib injury right now. Gets the MRI, came back negative. So he might actually play on Monday Night Football. But if you are waiting until Monday Night Football, it could be risky. Deebo Samuel, looks like he's still dealing with that shoulder injury. He might probably play this week as well. Jimmy G, not hearing really much on what happened with his back and his internals and kidneys. So something to monitor as we go into this week, especially looking at Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams.
I think Tank Dell's on a bye this week with the Texans. So he should have some time to recover off the concussion.
Yeah. Thanks.
Hopefully.
All right, let's get into this week 7 waiver wire. So look at a picture here. We got Jordan Mason, Craig Reynolds, and Malik Willis. Well, I mean, obviously we're not touching Malik Willis this week because they're on bye anyway. But let's go ahead and take a look here at my priority waiver ads here. We got J-Mo at number 1. I saw that nice touchdown he had tracking the ball this past weekend. I think he's a long-term flex option. He's still on the top of my board. Grab. Number 2 is Roschon Johnson. He's probably not available in most of your leagues, but he could be. I'm actually prioritizing Kareem Hunt fairly high this week just because he was featured in the passing game. And I'm not sure if Deshaun Watson or PJ Tucker is going to be who's going to be the quarterback, but I think he's going to have a bigger role going forward. Josh Downs has been solid now that we know that AR is dealing with that shoulder injury. He could be out the rest of the season. Expect more passing work from the Colts and more targets, receptions for Pittman and Downs. A guy I still really like, and I still think he should be rostered, is Zach Charbonnet. In my opinion, he's one injury away from being a top 15 running back. You can start him. If Kenneth Walker gets injured, fire up Zach Charbonnet. All right, here's a hot topic right here, right? So if you look at a majority of shows, a lot of people are saying, "All right, goes blow all your fab on Zach Evans." Everybody's saying it, like, "Oh, he's a Debbie darling. He's from Ole Miss." I am not a big fan of Zach Evans at all, and I don't think Sean McVay is, and here's why. He went and signed Darrell Henderson, Miles Gaskin, Royce Freeman, and he said even more help is on the way for the running back position. I want no part of that backfield now. I'm just going to take them off the list. The right answer is none of them. That's in my opinion.
And I'd have to say with that I agree with you. Zach Evans is a roll of the dice. Even coming out of the draft, we talked about him quite a bit. His issues at down in Texas,
Ole Miss.
Before Ole Miss.
Oh, TCU, yeah.
TCU, thank you. He was at TCU. He had problems, and he went to Ole Miss, and then even then, at the end, he wasn't starting, right? Judkins came in, and he's been kind of I don't want to say head case, but he's had some off the field issues, some character concerns, and the fact that the Rams are picking up 3 running backs, and they're not going to give him the shot. The only way he does and pays off is if they don't have the other guys into the system well enough, and they put Evans in there, and he has a big game, then he's a big hit. But that's a risky one. That's kind of like letting one chip on the roulette wheel for one red, and then you're going to get it, and that's kind of low odds, but high payoff.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel confident picking them up. But if you don't really have a choice, maybe all those guys are on a bye, you just have injuries. You don't really have a choice. You got to pick up somebody. So I would probably roll the dice. I mean, I wouldn't blow all my fab on Zach Evans. I'd probably do Darrell Henderson now. Actually, I think he has a lower cost, and I think he can still probably get you 3 to 4 points. That's not very good, but is what it is. All right. Jordan Mason, Elijah Mitchell. I mean, I would just add them if you have McCaffrey. Maybe some guy in your league already has them, then you gotta get somebody else. But I think McCaffrey will probably play. He won't be on a snap count, but he'll probably still play. Luke Musgrave, some of the tight ends looking at, right? So if you lost one of those tight ends, you maybe lost Schultz or any of those other guys on bye this week. You probably need a tight end. I'm still sticking with Luke Musgrave. He has a great matchup this week against Denver. Denver is the worst defense in football against the pass. Should be easy for Jordan Love. A nice bounce back week. They're coming back from a bye. They'll be healthy. I'll pick Musgrave up over Njoku and Janu Smith. But yeah, I'll be if Musgrave's taken, yeah, go with Njoku or Janu Smith. Maybe even Kyle Pitts is on waivers still. Who knows? I think he's probably picked up by now. But
he's a good decoy. You saw that in the game against with Atlanta. They use him. They line him up, and he goes out and draws the coverage, and then they throw underneath the Jonu, which is kind of crazy. But Pitts, actually, both tight ends scored really well this past week. Yeah, I kind of like Jonu better out of those just because of the way they target the tight ends in Atlanta. Now they're using them both, but yeah, they're all good pickups.
And some QBs. I'll probably go Jordan Love this week just because the matchup should be fairly easy for him to get some points on the board. It should be a nice bounce back week. They have that bye. I think he can give you nice 15, 18 a week or this week. Deshaun Watson, I'm still concerned about. He's probably not on waivers, but he could be. He's still dealing with that shoulder injury. Sam Howell should be on waivers. He has a good matchup this week against the Giants. Should be easy for him as well. And then, I mean, if you're in a deeper league, right, Gardner Minshew, he's still going to be on waivers. Quarterback, and if you need a quarterback, well, then you kind of have to pick him up because he can be a long-term option now, especially that A-Rich is probably going to be out. Rashee Rice, Tyjae Spears, and Marvin Mims. So Rashee Rice looks like he's established himself as wide receiver 1 on the Chiefs. I'm not saying that's going to be great, but he'll be a nice flex. All these guys, I think, are flex. Tyjae Spears, maybe after the bye week, he can get a better role in the passing game. Don't think Derrick Henry's slowing down yet, but similar to Zach Charbonnet, he's basically one injury away from being a good running back. He should be an RB2. I think RB2 is probably like a good bet. I'm higher on Charbonnet, but I have Spears here lower just because he's on bye. And one thing to look out for is as maybe players that might be in waivers, if they're available, pick them up. I doubt they probably are. But here we got add players if they're available. Adam Thielen, Nico Collins, Jacoby Myers, Zach Moss, Jerry Jeudy, Brock Purdy, Cortland Sutton, uh, Chuba Hubbard, and Ezekiel Elliott. Be mindful after today. Check the transaction history. Look for any players that were dropped this week. Go through them. Some guys might drop players just because they're on buys and they just have to start a lineup. Just be careful. Be mindful of that. Maybe you can scoop up somebody off a straight cheese. Maybe some guy in your league goes, all right, you know what? Maybe I don't want Adam Thielen. I don't know why he'd do that, but it's possible, right? Then you go pick up Thielen. Or maybe he drops Tank Dell or Nico Collins. Go pick him up. All those options. Maybe some guy drops Mixon or I don't know. Just keep an eye out for players. Just check those transactions. And now we get into Max's some of his picks. No specific order for him. I'll let you handle this when you got it.
All right. Hey everybody. I just threw these out there as I was going through the list of folks. I started with the tight ends. I kind of like the tight ends, especially I'm in a tight end premium league that I'm trying to do a lot with. So with that, I'm actually looking at these two guys. I do like Jonnu Smith as a pickup for whatever reason. They use him to receive and Pitts to catch. It's changing a little bit, but they still target a lot of the tight ends there in Atlanta. I think with Ritter being the quarterback, you're going to see just a lot of targets. And he's done well. Michael, and especially down by the end zone. I think that's probably the big discriminator for the tight ends. Michael Mayer from Las Vegas had a big game. I think he's a Schultz guy. You know, I'm big on Schultz. I think long term, he's a guy to get. He was my number one tight end coming out because I thought he was the most NFL ready. He's the classic tight end. He's not flashy, athletic like Pitts and some of the other guys. He's going to block. You're going to forget about him, and he's going to get open. And in a tight end premium league, he's certainly somebody to pick up. Reynolds, just because of Detroit, the injuries that they have, they're going to run the ball and keep running the ball. He's somebody you might want to pick up as well. They're short term. Zach Evans stream in the short term, unless you know what they're going to do there. You never know.
Fire up Daryl Henderson.
Or Miles Gaskin. Yeah, you don't know. I mean, you can
guy from the couch university.
Hey, if you're desperate or you need to go big or go home, then he might be your play, and you could either get lucky or get zero, which is what he's been getting most of the weeks. Anyway, I like Rashee Rice. Watching the games, I have Sky Moore and I don't have Rashee Rice, but I always see him getting the ball. I'm thinking, is that Sky Moore? And it's always him, especially down by the end zone. Mahomes is actually connected with him. So if you can get him, he seems like a good long-term pickup, not just short-term now. Wendell Robinson was supposed to be good, was injured last year, again on the New York Giants. What are you going to do? Are they going to be able to protect Danny Dimes? I'm not sure, but he's certainly been getting the targets, and the targets have been going up for him each week. So if you need somebody, he's certainly a long-term guy, because if he's getting the looks now, you would think he'd be getting the looks in the future. Mason, he's a pickup everybody's talking about short-term. It's hard to say between him and Mitchell, but Mitchell's been hurt, and then Mitchell, I think he had negative yards last game. I'm not sure they're going to do much with him. I like Hal. If you can get Hal, granted he hasn't scored as many points, but I think he's on a good team, and I think he's getting better each week. So he's a guy you might want to grab for a short term with a long term play. Chuba Hubbard, he's actually done fairly well again, but he's hit or miss. He's a streamer. Same thing with Ezekiel Elliott. He's been getting a greater share of the carries. They're starting to work him into the offense. He might have a little bit of juice left in the tank, but if you're desperate at running back, he's certainly somebody to consider as well.
Yeah, no, I like those picks as well. I think Chuba and Zeke have been carving out roles, and I'm not sure about the Miles Sanders injury out there. I'm just not sure what's going to happen with him. Obviously, they're on a bye this week, but there could be stash guys, you know. If they come back and Miles Sanders still injured, congrats, you have another running back you can use. I'm not sure with the injuries with Ramondre Stevenson. I know he got injured this past week and Zeke took over. Also, that quarterback situation, maybe Bill Belichick decides to blow up the team, puts in Malik Cunningham or Bailey Zappi, and just gives Zeke the ball and he saves Stevenson. I'm not sure. Zeke is definitely an RB2 with actual starter capability. So I like those picks. Good stuff. All right, week 7 outlook. So obviously we got the Jags and the Saints playing on Thursday night. Here are the prop bets for this game. Looks like it's going to be a pretty good one. I have concerns about Lawrence. Hopefully he gets healthy by then. But looks like Vegas has the Saints by 3. Sure, it's probably updated and changed now. So a lot of close games this week. And let's go ahead and take a look at our defenses. So our top 10 defenses in the NFL right now: Cleveland Browns, New York Jets, San Francisco 49ers, Detroit Lions, Dallas Cowboys, Baltimore Ravens, New Orleans Saints, Jacksonville Jaguars, Kansas City Chiefs, and Philadelphia Eagles. Some guys I dropped down. I dropped down Dallas one spot. I'm moving Detroit Lions up. Baltimore Ravens are moving up and trending up. Same thing with Jacksonville Jaguars. Cleveland Browns, man, they're very good. They pretty much shut down the San Francisco 49ers this past week. Obviously, we saw them get that win. They look good.
Very physical, too.
Very physical. Pass rush was great. Purdy struggled. He finally threw an interception. That dude has been so lucky this year and last year. I'm glad the Cleveland Browns finally got him. Everybody knows I've been high on the Cleveland Browns all year, and I'm glad to finally have them up here. And they're great against the run, great against the pass. Definitely a great team. Okay, and let's take a look here at our top 15 defenses options for week 7. So the ones I are bolded and in yellow, these teams are probably still available on your waivers. Go ahead, go through the order here. I'll just touch on the Commanders, Seahawks, Lions, Buccaneers, Packers, Falcons. Majority of my leagues right now, I have the Lions still. I might move off them just because they're playing the Ravens. And I might go get the Commanders, especially if Daniel Jones doesn't play. Or I'll probably go and pick up the Seahawks because I think the Cardinals are really struggling right now. And I think the offense for the Seahawks will be so well that the Cardinals won't have that many opportunities. Any defense options here you think you're higher on or lower on? Thoughts?
Kind of big on Seattle and potentially the Commanders as well. Probably one of those two would be my picks on this one out of these options if I had to stream. And the reason is because, like you said, if Jones doesn't play, they're at the Giants. They've been struggling. They haven't been tearing it up. Might want to consider them. If Barkley plays again, depending who the backup is, that might work out not so well. But my number 1 would be Seattle versus the Cardinals. And then number 2 is Washington.
Yeah. If you need that long-term play, just stick with Detroit. All right. Let's get to our worst defenses and the best defenses against the run and the pass. All right, worst run defenses. So congrats, Denver Broncos. You are the worst defense in all of football, according to yours truly and based on numbers. You gave up 172 rushing yards and 5.6 yards per carry and 8 touchdowns through the season. So they're playing Green Bay this week. Like I said, I'm high on Jordan Love this week just because the matchup, they're coming off a bye, should be easy money for him. Giants are number 2, being the worst, followed by Bengals, Steelers, Packers, and Panthers. Panthers are on a bye, so don't worry about them. Easy money.
Yeah, and that win with the Giants, they're number 2 playing Washington. That's one of the ones we picked, like for the defense, the Commanders. Washington likes to run. They got good runners. Brian Robinson, Gibson. They can run the ball and they can pass the ball, but with the bad run defense, that could be a long game for the Giants.
Yeah, even looking here at Pittsburgh Steelers, are playing the Rams, right? I only wish Kyron Williams was healthy. That'd been so nice. That would have been nice for everybody. Expect maybe some better numbers from Javonte Williams this week. He's playing the Packers. I think the Broncos will lean on him more this week. All right, let's get to our pass defenses and wrap up here real quick. All right, we got Chargers, Broncos, Bears, Colts, Titans, and Cardinals. You could argue that the Broncos are the absolute worst against the pass. They have the best, they're giving the best completion rate to quarterbacks, and they're giving up a ton of yards and a ton of touchdowns. But I still went with the Chargers because Dak looked like amazing. He looked like a top 3 quarterback yesterday. I'm not surprised
Slicing
personally.
and dicing.
So I'm still sticking with the Chargers being the worst. Should be nice for Mahomes this week. Good game for Jordan Love. Bounce back week for Jimmy G. Maybe Brian Hoyer plays. Should be good for Adams as well as Jacoby Myers. Cleveland has a nice matchup. Star Cleveland players. Here's what I'm talking about. For the Seattle Seahawks, right? They're playing the Cardinals. The Cardinals have been really struggling against the pass. Their offense has also really struggled. I think Geno can have a bounce back week this week. And the defense should also be very serviceable. So I guess I'm going to look high on the Seahawks this week.
Yeah, that's why I like the Seahawks as my favorite stream one on that one. If you have to stream one, just because of the matchup against the Cardinals, if they get up on them early, especially with the passes, the Metcalf and even JSN that everybody's discounting, but if they get up on the passing because they got a good running game, it's going to be a long Sunday game for the Cardinals.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to the top 5 run defenses. Number 1, Detroit Lions. Again, they're totally available. You can pick them up on waivers still. Great streaming option, great long-term pick. They're playing Baltimore. Could be a little tough with Lamar Jackson. Still like them. Cleveland Browns, Philadelphia Eagles, Seattle Seahawks, and Jacksonville Jaguars. Philadelphia Eagles seem to be trying to add more players in the secondary as well as up front. The run-stop defense between Jordan Davis and Carter have been amazing. Still think that's going to continue. Be careful with Miami this week. Raheem Mostert. Don't expect him to rush up the middle as much. Just outside getting passes as well. Seahawks and Jags. Expect here we go. Seahawks are ranked 4th against the run right now. They're playing Arizona without James Conner. Still like the Seahawks this week. Go pick up the Detroit Lions and Seahawks off waivers if they're available. Could also pick up the Jags, but I don't like Thursday games and defenses. And I think the Saints have been pretty decent so far. Wouldn't pick up the Jags. Pick up the Lions and the Seahawks.
Yeah, Jags are risky just because of the uncertain status of Trevor Lawrence. If they have a backup, it'll be ugly.
Yeah. CJ Beathard, he's not very good. Could be good for ETN, but that'd be really bad for the receivers. I hope Trevor Lawrence plays. I really need him to. All right. Top 5 pass defenses. Cleveland Browns. Here we go. Cleveland Browns are either 1 or 2 in pretty much every category. Very good. They're going against Indianapolis. They're playing Gardner Minshew. I don't think the Browns should be on waivers, but maybe they are somehow. Then play them and keep them the rest of the year. Dallas Cowboys are on bye this week. Ravens are playing Detroit. Goff has been good. Probably wouldn't start the Ravens, but they are a good long-term play. New Orleans Saints are playing Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence has another tough matchup this week. And San Francisco 49ers are playing Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings. Should be a tough matchup for Kirk Cousins this week, especially not having Justin Jefferson. All right, that is all I have for today's show, as well by our Week 7 waiver wire. Do you have anything else?
Nope. Just make sure you catch our start set for Sunday.
Yeah, I actually want to start. I want to put my rankings out on Saturday. I hope that I can get more views and more likes. Seems like you guys, I always want to have everything out early as possible. So I'll do the best I can to get those rankings out earlier on Saturday. That way you can take a look at them and then we can just touch up on them on Sunday. So I appreciate everybody tuning in today, watching our videos. Make sure to like the video, share the video, comment for the algorithm, subscribe if you're new, follow us on Twitter at Dynasty Buffs and FF Buffs for Max. Appreciate your guys' time. Thanks for letting us talk football with you. So far, good. Hope we get another win this week for all of us. Good luck this week on Thursday. Feel free to put us any comments or questions or trades, anything in the comments. We really appreciate it. And with that being said, we are out.